A few years ago, Nas Daily looked completely unstoppable. His videos were everywhere.
20 million people visit one city every year. That city is a small dot on the map called...
Millions of views, millions of followers. Endless positivity.
My solution is simple. Bring people together, not apart.
Every upload felt like some inspiring life lesson about culture, humanity, or the hidden beauty of the world. And for a while, people genuinely loved him. He built one of the fastest growing creator brands on the internet by making 1-minute videos that made viewers feel smarter, happier, and more connected to the world around them. But today, almost every video he uploads gets flooded with backlash. His like-to-dislike ratios are terrible. Former fans openly call him fake, exploitative, narcissistic, and manipulative. Some people genuinely hate him more than creators who've committed far worse controversies online. So what happened? How does somebody go from being one of the internet's most inspirational creators to becoming one of the most disliked travel influencers on YouTube? Well, according to critics, the answer is simple. Nas Daily stopped caring about people and started caring only about content. Because over the years, the same creator who preached positivity and understanding kept getting exposed in controversy after controversy. Accusations of exploiting indigenous cultures, undisclosed crypto promotions.
So sometimes the characters that are in your video are actually paid sponsorships.
Sometimes, yes.
Mocking religion, and a growing ego that made him act like he had the answer to every complicated issue on Earth. The problem was that eventually, audiences started noticing a pattern. Almost every heartwarming Nas Daily story somehow benefited Nas Daily the most. And once people stop trusting the person telling the story, the entire brand starts collapsing. But before the backlash, scandals, and accusations, Nas Daily was one of the smartest creators the internet had ever seen. Long before Nas Daily became one of the most controversial creators on the internet, he was actually seen as a genius. And honestly, in a lot of ways, he was. Nas, whose real name is Nusir Yassin, was born into a Palestinian Muslim family living in Israel. At just 19 years old, he got accepted into Harvard University to study aerospace engineering. Most people assumed he was headed towards some elite corporate or tech career. Instead, he accidentally discovered the internet. Back in 2012, Nas uploaded a random video of himself and friends attaching a hamburger to a weather balloon and sending it into space. That's it. Just a stupid, funny experiment. But the video unexpectedly exploded online, pulling in hundreds of thousands of views almost immediately. And for the first time, Nas realized something important. The internet rewards curiosity. Still, he didn't fully commit to content creation yet. Not until years later when he returned with a much bigger idea. One video. Every single day. No excuses, no breaks, just constant storytelling. At the time, short-form content barely existed the way it does now. TikTok wasn't dominating the internet yet. YouTube Shorts didn't exist. And Nas Daily somehow figured out years earlier that people loved fast-paced educational content they could consume instantly. So he started traveling the world, making 1-minute videos about interesting people, places, cultures, and stories. And the formula worked perfectly. Fast editing, huge smile, simple explanations, emotional endings, everything designed to make viewers feel inspired within 60 seconds. And almost overnight, the internet became obsessed with him. Millions of followers flooded his Facebook page. His videos spread everywhere. People saw him as intelligent, positive, and different from the normal toxic influencer culture online. At one point, it honestly looked like Nas Daily had cracked the code to the internet itself. But the bigger he became, the more people started questioning whether the positivity was actually genuine. As Nas Daily kept uploading daily videos, something unusual started happening. People weren't just watching his content anymore. They were emotionally connecting to it. Every video followed the same addictive formula. Nas would find some obscure person, country, invention, or cultural tradition. then compressed the entire story into one emotional minute, designed to leave viewers feeling inspired by humanity. And honestly, he mastered it better than almost anybody else online. At a time when most creators were still making long intros and dragging videos out to 10 minutes, Nas understood attention spans perfectly. Everything moved fast. Quick cuts, simple language, constant energy, no wasted time. He basically predicted the short-form content era years before TikTok exploded. That's why his growth became insane. Millions of followers on Facebook, millions of views every week. Brands loved him. Audiences trusted him. And because his videos focused on positivity and world cultures, people viewed him differently than normal influencers. He didn't feel like a clout chaser. He felt educational, inspirational, almost wholesome. That's what made his audience so loyal early on. Viewers genuinely believed Nas cared about people and cultures. His whole brand revolved around bringing the world together. And eventually, that positivity became his identity, which is exactly why the backlash later became so brutal. Because once your entire reputation is built on authenticity and kindness, people react much harder when they start sensing arrogance underneath the surface. And slowly, critics started noticing something strange about Nas Daily. Every video positioned him as the smartest person in the room. As Nas Daily became more successful, critics started noticing a major shift in his personality. The positivity was still there. The smiles were still there. But underneath it all, Nas started sounding less like a storyteller and more like somebody convinced he had the answer to every problem on Earth. That became one of the biggest criticisms against him. No matter the topic, religion, politics, culture, poverty, technology, Nas always spoke with complete certainty, like every issue could be simplified into a 1-minute life lesson. And at first, audiences overlooked it because the videos were entertaining. But over time, people started feeling like he was reducing complicated cultures and serious issues into feel-good content, designed mostly to make himself look wise. Especially because almost every video followed the same structure. Nas arrives somewhere, finds a problem or interesting tradition, explains it in the simplest way possible, then positions himself as the person helping the audience understand it. Critics began accusing him of turning entire cultures into content props. And honestly, the more famous he became, the worse the ego allegations got. One moment that perfectly captured this happened during a confrontation with a creator named AI Yamini at the World Economic Forum. Yamini accused Nas of pushing elite corporate talking points and pretending to care about issues while benefiting from them personally, instead of calmly responding. Nas completely lost composure, interrupting interviews, talking over people, running away from the confrontation while acting sarcastic. And the clips spread everywhere because viewers suddenly saw a completely different version of him. Not the calm, inspirational traveler, but somebody deeply uncomfortable being challenged publicly. That's when people started realizing something important. Nas Daily loved explaining things to people, but he seemed to hate being questioned himself. And once audiences notice hypocrisy in a creator built entirely on authenticity, the trust starts collapsing fast. Then came the controversy that completely turned the Philippines against him. The controversy that completely shattered Nas Daily's image in the Philippines started with a 103-year-old tattoo artist.
She is the oldest tattoo artist in the world, and she doesn't use a tattoo machine.
And honestly, it became one of the worst PR disasters of his career. In 2021, Nas uploaded a video featuring Apo Whang-Od, a legendary traditional tattoo artist from the Philippines who had become internationally respected for preserving ancient indigenous tattooing techniques. The video itself looked normal at first. Classic Nas Daily content, positive music, cultural appreciation, emotional storytelling. But buried in the description was something viewers immediately noticed. Nas was launching an online course through Nas Academy using Whang-Od's name and image. At first, fans thought it sounded amazing. An opportunity to preserve indigenous culture and teach younger generations. Then, everything exploded. A woman claiming to be Whang-Od's relative publicly accused Nas Daily of exploiting her grandmother and tricking her into signing a contract she allegedly didn't fully understand. The internet instantly turned on him, because now this no longer looked like cultural appreciation. It looked like a rich influencer trying to monetize indigenous culture for profit. And things only got worse after Nas responded publicly. To defend himself, he uploaded footage showing Whang-Od placing her thumbprint onto the contract as proof of consent. But critics immediately pointed out the obvious problem. Just because somebody signs something doesn't mean they fully understand what they're signing, especially when dealing with language barriers, age differences, and complicated business agreements. Then Nas made another huge mistake. While trying to defend the situation, he said that 40% of Nas Academy's employees were Filipino, supposedly to prove the company respected Filipino culture. That comment backfired horribly. People compared it to the classic, "I can't be offensive because I know people from that group" argument. And overnight, huge parts of the Filipino internet completely turned against him. Suddenly, Nas Daily's entire brand started looking different. Not inspirational, not educational, but exploitative. Like he was flying around the world, turning cultures, traditions, and people into content products he could monetize. And the craziest part? That wasn't even the only accusation coming out of the Philippines at the time. Right after the Apo Whang-Od controversy exploded, Nas Daily got hit with another accusation from the Philippines, and this one made the backlash even worse. A Filipino farmer and environmental activist named Louise Mabulo publicly claimed that Nas visited her cacao farming project to potentially feature it in one of his videos. At first, it sounded like another wholesome collaboration, but according to Louise, the experience quickly became uncomfortable. She accused Nas of making disrespectful comments about poor Filipino farmers, and allegedly asking things like, "Why are Filipinos so poor?" Then came the accusation that really damaged his image. Louise claimed Nas ultimately lost interest in covering the project because it wasn't entertaining enough for content. And honestly, that allegation perfectly matched what critics were already beginning to believe about him. That Nas didn't actually care about helping people. He cared about views. The internet exploded again. Now, people weren't just accusing him of exploitation. They were accusing him of performative empathy, of pretending to care about cultures and social issues while privately viewing them as content opportunities. Nas immediately pushed back publicly, denying the accusations and criticizing Louise's project in return. But by this point, public trust was already collapsing fast, because every controversy followed the same pattern. Nas would present himself as the positive, reasonable person, then somehow make the situation even worse once he responded. And as more people revisited his old videos, audiences started asking a dangerous question. Was Nas Daily ever genuine? Or was he just incredibly good at packaging himself as inspirational? Unfortunately for him, the next controversy made that question even harder to ignore. Because now, crypto entered the picture. By this point, Nas Daily's reputation was already slipping badly. But then he got involved with crypto.
I feel sad for the world of crypto. I still believe in it.
And that may have permanently destroyed whatever trust his audience still had left. In late 2021, Nas uploaded a video praising Sam Bankman-Fried, the founder of the crypto exchange FTX.
Guy you see next to me is the most generous billionaire in the world, and I found him.
The video basically portrayed Sam as some kind of genius humanitarian billionaire. Hardworking, humble, selfless, a man supposedly planning to donate his entire fortune to charity. Then months later, Nas uploaded another extremely positive video about Changpeng Zhao, the billionaire behind Binance.
Is the richest guy in the world from crypto, and you don't even know him.
Hi, my name is CZ.
And viewers immediately noticed something strange. These videos didn't feel like documentaries anymore. They felt like advertisements. But nowhere did Nas clearly disclose whether these were paid promotions.
Do you say that in the
We do not say that because, well, one, in the post, it's when we say thank you to XYZ, blah, blah, for making this possible.
That's when things got much worse. During a podcast interview, Nas accidentally admitted that some videos involving people and companies were sponsorships that weren't openly disclosed to viewers.
So sometimes the characters that are in your video are actually paid sponsorships.
Sometimes, yes.
The clip spread everywhere online because critics felt like it confirmed their worst suspicions. Suddenly, people started questioning everything. Were these inspirational stories actually genuine? Or was Nas just getting paid to promote wealthy people while pretending it was objective storytelling? Then the entire situation became catastrophic after FTX collapsed, because Sam Bankman-Fried went from being presented as a humble genius to becoming one of the biggest fraud cases in financial history. Massive customer fraud allegations, billions lost, prison sentence. And now, viewers were revisiting Nas Daily's glowing video about him wondering how somebody supposedly focused on positivity and truth could promote people like this so confidently. At that point, the audience no longer saw Nas as naive. They saw him as opportunistic, like he would praise literally anyone if the money or exposure was good enough. And somehow, Nas Daily was still about to enter his biggest controversy yet. In 2024, Nas Daily made the mistake of entering a topic far bigger and more sensitive than internet drama or crypto scandals, religion, and specifically, Islam. Nas uploaded a video titled, "I studied Islam for 1 month and I lost all my hair." That title alone immediately upset a lot of Muslims online because the losing hair part referenced men shaving their heads after pilgrimage in Mecca.
I shaved my head completely just to make a point.
One of the holiest traditions in Islam. Many viewers felt the title sounded disrespectful before the video even started. Then the backlash got even worse once people actually watched it. Muslim creators and viewers accused Nas of oversimplifying Islamic teachings, spreading misinformation, and treating a deeply important religion like another quick 1-minute content experiment. That became the core criticism. People felt like Nas approached Islam the same way he approached everything else. Find a complicated topic, compress it into viral content, act like you fully understand it afterward. And because Nas already had a reputation for sounding overly confident, the internet wasn't very forgiving this time. Large Muslim creators started publicly responding to him. One creator, Smile2Jana, uploaded an entire breakdown criticizing the video and accusing Nas of misunderstanding major aspects of the religion while trying to package it into entertaining content. The comments across Nas's video became brutal. Viewers accused him of arrogance, disrespect, ignorance. And honestly, this controversy exposed one of the biggest weaknesses in Nas Daily's entire content style. His formula worked best for simple, inspirational stories. But once he started tackling deeply emotional topics like religion, politics, and identity, people no longer wanted simplified, feel-good explanations from a smiling influencer. They wanted nuance, respect, depth. At the beginning of his career, Nas Daily looked like the future of the internet. Smart, positive, educational. A creator traveling the world, trying to bring people together through storytelling. And honestly, for a while, he succeeded. Millions of people genuinely felt inspired by his content. But over time, the image started cracking apart. The same creator preaching positivity kept finding himself surrounded by accusations of exploitation, arrogance, hypocrisy, and hidden sponsorships. And once audiences started noticing those contradictions, everything changed. Because trust is the most important thing a creator can have online, especially when your entire brand depends on authenticity. The moment people stop believing your intentions are genuine, even your positive content starts feeling manipulative. That's exactly what happened to Nas Daily. The inspirational storytelling slowly started looking like branding. The cultural appreciation started looking like exploitation. The educational content started looking oversimplified and self-serving. And the worst part for Nas is that every response only seemed to reinforce the criticism. Instead of listening, he defended himself constantly. Instead of slowing down, he doubled down. And over time, the internet stopped seeing him as an inspirational traveler and started seeing him as a businessman pretending to be inspirational. That's why his downfall feels so dramatic. Not because he committed one giant unforgivable act, but because audiences slowly lost faith in the person behind the camera. And once that emotional connection disappears online, subscriber counts stop mattering. Views collapse, fans leave, and the algorithm eventually moves on to somebody else. Because in the end, Nas Daily built an empire, teaching the world how to tell powerful stories. But eventually people stopped believing his own. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because we break down the rise, downfall, scandals, and hidden controversies behind the internet's biggest creators every single week. And trust me, the next story gets even crazier.